So let me just give you a little rundown of what we're going to do today. Our guest speaker is going to give us a workshop is Leisa. I'll do a little intro for her later. Leisa, welcome. And so I've got a couple of questions I want to ask everybody first before we get going about speaking. Because this is a big topic for authors and for business people. Everybody that we're bringing together today, obviously, we're all interested in this topic, but we all might think about it a little bit differently. So I want to talk about that too. So anytime you have a question or a thought that just pops into your head that you want to express, you can put that in the chat. Susie and and Michael belong to a group called the Idea Collective. And what does Pat say? Something in sarcastic comments, questions, ideas, sarcastic comments. So there's a constant chatter in the chat and it's a lot of fun. So feel free to express yourself there. And then let's dive in. So my question, Leisa, I'm just gonna call on you first. And say, when we're talking about speaking, what all constitutes speaking? Does it include podcasts and stages and workshops and how do you define speaking?
Well, in terms of entrepreneurs, which I think we all are here, or some types of business people, I think of speaking as a deck of cards, right? And you can play different games with the same deck of cards. So you might be playing a podcast game. You might be playing the summit game, Facebook Live game, live in-person speaking, keynote paid speaking. There's all different kinds of games. So that's how I think of it.
Cool. Okay, so talk to me about so podcasts, you mentioned that. So that's either having a podcast, being a guest on podcasts.
That would be one game. Yeah. So if you, I don't know, is everyone going to get a chance? I just don't want to like hog the stage here. So I can talk about this for a long time.
We'll give everybody a chance in a second.
Yeah. So today what I'm going to be speaking about mostly is I want you to think about how could you use your message to attract more people, attract your ideal clients. A lot of times people who like to speak, it's an enjoyable way to market your business. It's super fun. There's tons of ways to market your business. Why not do it that way? Now more than ever, we have tons of different ways to reach different people, and podcast is certainly one of them. But you'll want to be prepared, just like anything. Hey, if I'm going to play a card game with you, I want to know how to win. What can I say? I'm a competitor. So whether you're competing with yourself, which is mostly what I'm doing, or competing with other people, you want to make sure you know the rules of the game. And so like with podcasts, it's like, okay, how do you play that game? Like one tip I would say is don't do something that's time sensitive. If you have a workshop coming up next week, a podcast is not the place to promote it unless it's got a quadrillion visitors or something or downloads, but make it evergreen. So that would be a tip I would say for podcasting.
Great tip. Okay, cool. Thank you, Leisa, for just jumping in there and playing unexpectedly there. Everybody, can I see a show of hands? Or if you don't have your camera on, you can put in the chat. Who's currently speaking in any of the games or the ways that Leisa is talking about? I saw kind of half Susie Moon, half thing there. Okay, cool. So a lot of us, most of us. And let's find out what kinds of speaking do you want to do? So why don't you put that in the chat? So all of those things that Leisa mentioned, whether it's summits or stages, live stages, virtual stages, doing workshops, hosting a podcast, being on podcasts, or both.
And if you're an author, it might be a book signing. That could be a speaking engagement where you do a little pop about your book, one of the chapters, book reading, things like that to promote your book.
Yes, that is great because we do online launches, we do in-person launches, book signings, all that stuff. Yeah. This could take a while if we're doing everything. Just typing my own stuff in too. Okay. So we've got a lot of, okay. We've got book signing, podcasts, workshops. Susie wants to share comedy without having to stand up in front of an audience late at night and having to wear pants. Told you she wasn't shy. Susie Moon says, I'm speaker curious, usually behind the scenes. Um, Richard says, workshops, podcasts, guests, live stages. John says, live stages, virtual podcast. That says most of it, including book signings, kind of book coming up sometime soon. Uh, podcast workshops. Um, Julie says, I'm moving from speaking about business issues, corporate M&A law to personal issues, DEI, and want to understand the best way to do this. Oh, great question, Julie. Okay, so we've got across the board. I just wanted to get put my finger on the pulse of what you guys are doing and what you want to do most next. So thanks everyone for playing. And now we'll do a little intro for Leisa. So Leisa is an awesome person I met and have gotten involved a little bit in her organization called the OC Speakers Network. And I'm going to read your bio so I get everything right, Leisa. So as the founder of Get Speaking Gigs Now, Leisa mentors professionals who want to use public speaking to grow their business. Clients who work closely with her build their speaking skills and confidence through the Speakers Training Academy. They get their talks ready to rock and learn how to stay booked as speakers through easy to implement strategies. As a speaker herself, Leisa has successfully booked and delivered over 600 speaking engagements. In her book, Get Speaking Gigs Now, she shares her 7-step system to getting booked, staying booked, and attracting your ideal clients through speaking. So, Leisa, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and knowledge with
Thank
us.
you. How exciting. I'm so happy to be here. And I love all the comments and pretty much wherever you are on that speaking journey, whatever game you're playing with your cards, feel free to just tap into what we're talking about today, because I do believe it is valuable for all of us, especially as entrepreneurs, especially now more than ever. I mean, when I first started speaking, Facebook Live didn't even exist. It wasn't that long ago. I mean, we weren't all communicating on Zoom on a regular basis. I've been coaching on Zoom for many years, but now we're kind of on video, whether we want it to be or not, right? It's like, okay, if I want to talk to people, here's what we got to do. So I do find it fun. I will say this, I'm actually a natural born teacher. Who in here considers themselves like a natural born teacher, trainer type person? Yeah. So if you're having any nervousness about speaking or being a speaker, think of it as teaching, because that's really my style. I'm going to teach you some things today. And that's my favorite thing to do. I like, let's get some light bulb moments. Let's do our homework in class. Let's make sure you learn something that's going to be helpful for your business and you can implement right away. That's super easy peasy lemon squeezy. And we're going to do it that way. Okay. Sound good? Cool. Make sure you have a notebook, paper handy or something to take notes. Just a couple of ideas that I want to throw at you today so that you can go out and implement right away. And I'll give you some cool gifts and stuff like that too. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick here. And I love, Amy, what you already kind of prepped us, because like, oh, now we know what layers we are on in terms of speaking and what the different things that we've got going on. A couple of things that I notice people often have questions about when it comes to speaking is like, okay, well, I want to do it, but like, how would I actually get booked? How do I actually get clients? And then this is the question that people aren't saying out loud, but it's like, how do I make money? How do I do this? Like, we only have so many hours in the day. How do we make sure that we're going to be effective with our marketing efforts, with our sales efforts? So I'll give a formula at the end. We'll actually walk through and you can start to see and start to shift the formula a little bit. See, it's a great way to see where the holes in the boat are. And so I'll walk us through that. And I'm going to go at somewhat, I already talked sort of fast. Sorry about that. I do talk quickly. And we have time for questions, I think, after. And so if you're if you're feeling that you didn't get your question answered during the talk, then we'll address that. We are going to cover the number one secret to a steady stream of speaking referrals. We're going to talk about some strategies to attract clients, and we might do more of that at the end when we have our Q&A. I'm happy to do some like hot seat coaching. I hate to say hot seat because it sounds like not comfortable. Like we'll do warm seat coaching. We'll do a little helpful hints consulting. And then that speaker monetization formula, that's where we're going to punch in the numbers, make it super easy. No hard math here, no calculus. It's just going to be super easy so you start to see like, does this make sense for me? Am I missing the boat? Is there money sitting on the table that I haven't been grabbing? And we'll make sure you have a clear idea of what to do there. A little teeny bit about me. Anytime I speak, it's kind of cool because you get a little bit of an insider stuff behind the scenes. I love to share behind the scenes tips if you're not already doing this. Always, if you have an opportunity, this is a super secret bonus tip, make sure to have someone take a picture of you on stage. It doesn't have to be fancy. If there's a professional photographer, that's always great. But just so you don't have to hire a huge team, we all have amazing cameras with us now all the time. Have someone sit next to you. You don't even need to know them. I'm sure they're going to be nice. If you say, could you take a picture and send it to me? They will. Have them take multiple pictures so you have different ones so you're not blinking or, have your mouth open in a weird way. That is that's what's going to happen if they only take one photo of you. I'm just going to tell you, you're going to be blinking. You're not going to look good. Have them take a bunch of photos of you. just click, 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 click. Okay. But I started speaking about 10 years ago. It was May 10 years ago. I do have a bachelor's and a master's degree in speech communication. However, that was way back when the dinosaurs were roaming the earth is when I got those degrees. You don't need to do that or have those degrees in order to speak now. You just really need to have a message that's worth sharing. And you have to be like, hey, you have the courage to put the steps forward and create strategies to get yourself out there. I started speaking around personal development. I know it was someone else. What was it? Who was the one who was talking about personal development? Julie said she's going to move into more personal development. That's what I used to do. My first year speaking, I booked over 80 speaking engagements in my local area, all in person. Okay. And I'm telling you this because that's what sort of prompted me starting this company. I started this company in 2017 because for years, people were asking me, how did you get booked? How did you get booked? How did you get on the stage? What did you do? What did you do? And I thought, my teacher brain kind of kicked in. So I want you to pay attention because if someone's asking you that some question about some brilliance that you have, that's a sign there's some value there. Oh, something that comes easy to you, but doesn't come easy to everyone else. That's value. And so I started to really think, what do I do? And I wrote out that's my Speakers Training Academy is all about the things that I do to get booked and stay booked on a regular basis. And it's a lot about, finding the strategies that work for you, that are easy for you to implement, and so that you can move forward and actually help the people that you were put on this earth to help. Because I'm all about raising the higher consciousness of our planet. And I think that people can do that when you are actually out there giving the gift that you've been given, right? Can I get an amen on that one, right? Yeah. That's the fun part, right? Like writing bios and putting a speaker sheet together. That's not the fun part. The fun part is actually getting to talk to the people, getting to reach the people that you can help the most. That's the game that we're playing. So I want to show you how you can get a steady stream of speaking referrals without actually cold calling. Does anyone in here love cold calling? Put a big thumbs up if you love cold calling. Yeah, nobody really, is very rare that anyone likes that. So what I did is I found this system total organically. I created it because there wasn't really a name for it. I just pretty cool thing that happened, but it's called your speaker soulmate system. And so you might be wondering like, what's a speaker soulmate? Well, I'm going to tell you because this is what I discovered. A speaker soulmate is someone who you could like create a relationship with. And this is like this is soulmates. This is like the inner circle, right? The inner circle of the soulmate is like, maybe you have 1, 2, or 3 like best friends, like that's your inner circle. And so a speaker soulmate is someone who speaks at a similar frequency as you. So if you're kind of brand new, maybe you find someone else who's on the newer journey. Like John's been speaking for a long time. He speaks about fraud and he's also a magician. I'm revealing all his secrets right now, but now he doesn't need to find another magician to speak, but he might find someone who speaks around the same kind of conferences that he does, similar type of audience as we're going to get there. It's really important to speak to someone, to have a speaker soulmate who like and trust. So you might know this person as we're in this present moment. You might know, maybe I should reach out to so-and-so. You probably like them if you're thinking that you want to reach out to them, but do you trust them yet? That takes a little bit more time. And so these relationships take more energy than just your 1,000 close and personal Facebook friends, right? This is the inner circle. So you're actually like kind of dating this person, like, okay, let me reach out and see if they respond. Okay, let me see if they are open to exchanging speaker referrals. Okay, let me see if they follow up on the things that I did. Like you're building the trust. You're not just going to hand them the keys to the kingdom yet. You're going to make sure that they're worthy of getting those keys of the kingdom and vice versa. Because the other kicker is that you want to find someone who speaks to a similar audience as you, but is not your competition. Because then you think about it when we were kids and you might have gone over to your friend's house and they always had cool toys that you didn't have, right? Like you're like, oh, I love going to so-and-so's house because they got the cool stuff. They love going to your house because you've got stuff they don't have. That's the kind of relationship I'm talking about, where you actually like put your toys together in the pile and everybody gets to win. My speaker soulmate, my first one, has given me over, I mean, I haven't even counted. It's so many, over 100 speaking engagements. So when I say I've been booked in over 600 talks, that's not with cold calling, right? A lot of those are not with cold calling. Not anymore. I don't do that anymore. It's through a personal referral where the red carpet is rolled right out for you. But you got to put it in the work. So what I'm going to have you do right now is write down 3 names. Who do you think might be a speaker soulmate for you? Just don't judge it. Just like who kind of pops in your mind. This is your first homework assignment, right? And then in the next week or so, reach out to them. Say, hey, I'm thinking of doing a little bit more speaking. Can we jump on the call together? Because I think you might be someone who we could play in this game together and we might be able to refer speaking engagements together. Are you open to that conversation? It's just like, this is, our basic common sense. Sometimes we forget common sense, right? In business, we're like, it's a human. You're dealing with humans. Even if someone will say, oh, I speak to corporate. Well, guess what corporate is? Corporate is made of humans. There's someone human needs to decide if you are the one. And it's also going to be a lot easier if someone that they trust and they've already seen speak says, hey, I've got another speaker right here for you for your next event. Why don't I connect you? And that is gold. I have speakers or meeting planners reach out to me because I'm a resource, not just that one-time speaker, but they're like, you always are sending me great people. Oh, we have a cancellation. Can you pop in? Or we'd love to have you back. Like it helps you extend the relationship with the person who's booking. So there's all these kind of benefits to this type of relationship. Okay. So I'm going to stop share for just a second here. Who in here has a couple of people in mind that you could reach out to? Just a quick raise of hands. John's got someone. Yep. Okay, cool. Susie, good. Hey, everybody. Yeah. So yeah, I love that. Susie's like, I refer people all the time. It's weird to think of actually asking for that back in return, right? Sometimes it's like right there in front of us. Like if it was a snake, it would have bitten me, right? So this thing, I still do this. Pandemic, no pandemic, pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, all the pandemics, I have still used this system and it still works. And I very, very rarely would ever consider cold calling. Like I have to conjure up a reason why I would actually do that, but I don't do that very often. So now you might be thinking, I don't know a lot of people who would fit into that category. Oh my gosh, where would I find them? So let me give you a resource to do that. Amy had mentioned the OC Speakers Network, which she popped in and gave us some really cool tips the other day. We meet once a month. We meet virtually. And guess what? We do this thing called speaker referral circles. So you could potentially find your speaker soulmate there. A lot of them have. And I'm going to give you a free ticket to go. It's usually $20, but you get a free pass and you just click on that QR code, find the date that you want to, you can do that later. I mean, click on it now, so it's in your browser, but you'll find a date that you can go. We meet the first Tuesday of the month, 1 to 3 Pacific. Pop in there, hang out, meet some other speakers. We've got some really amazing people that come to this group. It's an intimate group, kind of like this one. It's intimate. You get to build real relationships with people, which I think we're missing these days now. So that is for you. And hopefully you find your speaker soulmate. I will put that in the chat as well. There you go. Okay. So everyone's got a little free pass to that. That'll be super cool. I'd love to see you there. All right, we're going to move to our next section of speaker strategies. How do you actually get clients from speaking? Well, I like to use metaphors, and I mean, I wish I was having a chocolate fudge sundae like Susie at McDonald's, but we're going to go with peanut butter and jelly right now. So one of the things I love to use is food as metaphors because it's super fun. And these particular two strategies, why I use peanut butter and jelly is because they can be used separately or together. And so I want you to think of it that way of like, oh, I could use these together or separate. Which strategy am I using? Again, which game am I playing and why and how should it make sense? So let me go through the first strategy. It's really sharing how you solve problems. And when I say that, what I mean is I want you to think of a problem that you solved for somebody. And as we get more towards the center of the Tootsie Pop with this, I want you to think of when they called you, what did they say? Like when you had that first conversation with them and they were saying, can you help me with this thing? Or here's what I'm dealing with. What phrases did they say? Or what words did they say? And you can even, to make it really simple, think of a specific person, like kind of like your best client, the person who just paid upfront on the spot. You love their personality. You love working with them. They totally kicked butt. They went through, you know what I mean? Think of your best clients. What did they say to you? I'm dealing with this. This is the problem that I have. Okay, I'm going to give you a second to conjure this person, this situation. Does everyone have someone in mind or something in mind? Yeah? Okay. Now we're going to go to the chat and I want you to just quickly pull out one phrase that they said or one problem that they were dealing with when they reached out to you. And I'm going to read the chat. Here's what we'll do a little bit of warm seat coaching. Oh, thank you for the shout out, Amy. Okay, newly retired. I just don't know what's next, Sarah says. I'm newly retired. I don't know what to do. I think so. Yeah, John's because he does with fraud. I think someone's stealing from me. Can you help? Right? Oh, many people desire accountability. I don't have examples on the personal. Okay, lacking in the confidence to go out and get speaking engagements. Okay. Yeah. So it could be different things. Like maybe if, let's see here. If we go with John's, I think someone's stealing from me. Can you help? This is probably the context you would add is from my company, right? Right. Because it's like,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
you're finding the the forensics, looking into the accounts and things like that. That's
It's
awesome.
the most frequent question I get. That applies to hundreds of people.
Exactly. Yes. Lynette, newly retired, don't know what to do, meaning just like they don't know what to do in their free time. Where's Lynette? Oh, you're on mute, babe.
Yeah, in fact, I'm consulting with him next week. We haven't even started together yet, but he's just feeling really lost.
Yeah.
He's financially secure. He gives money to organizations that he doesn't want to work with, but I don't know what to do.
Yes. I love that example because it's a real example. It's a real problem. And it also probably gives a little insight into who your clients are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when in the past, have you helped someone like him?
Yes.
Yes. And what was the one solution or transition or transformation that that other person had?
Um, Well, it's been working with the workbook and putting together a plan, but I work with, at Simon Sinek and it's, what is your why? And I think that's what I'm going to do with this guy as a starting place.
Okay. So that's the how. In the past, when you helped someone through the whole process, what was their gain or transformation at the end?
They had confidence and they knew where they were going to go next.
There you go. Yeah. So that's where you can kind of combine here's how I solve problems. Like this is the problem they come to me with. And then here's how we get them. We don't have to say the how, but then we get them to the other side. Right?
Gotcha.
Very good. Awesome. Susie gets, how do I delegate? Where do I find people to help me? Yes. I love it. Okay. So keep it going here. We're going to keep this train moving, and then we can come back. If anyone wants to fine tune theirs a little bit, we can come back at the end when we do our Q&A. So we did the peanut butter. Now the jelly is how we share stories, or not how we share, how we solve problems. And then this one's sharing stories. So I'm actually going to go through and give an example. So one of the problems that I solve for people, they know they want to be a speaker. They're like, I can see myself up there, but I don't know what I should talk about. I don't know where I should go to speak. I don't know how I'm going to get on stage, that kind of thing. So they have, similar to, I know Michael was saying, maybe some confidence issues in how to get speaking gigs. They're just not sure, like it's hard to see the problem from inside the bottle, or it's hard to see the label from inside the bottle. I think that's the saying. So let me tell you a story. So I had a gal come to me, super confident, really bright, really driven. And she would see other speakers up there and she's like, how are they doing that? They're selling their $1,000 packages. And I just don't know how they're doing it. Cause I don't have so much to share, but I don't know how to stay on time. I don't really know how to isolate. What is it that I want to say? So what we did is we did a get your talk ready to rock session for her. That's what I love to do. We give birth to your talk, right? And she was able to go up on stage, nail her points, keep it really simple for her, and actually give an offer on stage for the very first time in front of hundreds of people and fill her program. Okay. So sometimes we just need that outside mirror to help us fine tune what it is we're going to do and really bring the brilliance that we have out, because it wasn't my words that she came up with. It was hers, but we just organized them together and collaboratively. So that's a story that I might have in my pocket. I want all of you, I'm going to encourage you, think of a story. Like Lynette had the story. We didn't go into the depth of it, but has that story of that person who was like this current client that she helped and went through the process. And then he ended up having more confidence and feeling more settled in what he was doing. So I want you to have those, think of it as having almost like the keys in your pocket. Like I want you to be able to pull out those keys, pull out that story for different scenarios. For back to what we talked about when we first questioned, your podcast, your radio interviews, your Facebook lives, your social media posts, your blog, your chapter in your book. I mean, here's where you can really start to repurpose those stories of where you've helped somebody. Make sense? Cool. And you can combine them together. Then you got the peanut butter jelly sandwich, right? So you could do, this is the problems that I solve. And then you can have the story, or you can put them together in a really high calorie, high sugar sandwich that tastes so good. All right, cool. So that's your other homework. You just kind of jot down a couple of stories that you might be able to share, a couple of client names. You don't have to write the novel, but what would you actually suggest for someone what would you share about? Okay, we're going to talk about the speaker's monetization formula. How do we actually make money? One of the biggest questions I get when it comes to speaking is, how do I become a paid speaker? And I'm not going to go into all of that today. If you have that question towards the end, I can answer that. But I think of it as, how do you monetize your speaking? So instead of being narrow focused on how the money is coming to you, like as a speaker fee, I want you to broaden how many different ways can money come into you and your business through speaking. And I almost think of it as like a pie, but we're gonna take a different approach today. So what I want you to think about, there's a formula that I've created that I think helps a lot of speakers, because it can be really confusing because of all the different ways that you can monetize. So I'm going to show you the formula. Then I'm going to show you a couple of examples with some numbers. And then I'll show you the formula again with the blank numbers, blank lines, so that you can create your own. Okay, so the first one is a price of your product or service that you have. I'm going to strongly suggest you choose, I know you probably have lots of services and products. I'm going to suggest you choose the product or service that makes you the most money, that you love to sell the most, or that's kind of your average. Like I know John probably, all his clients are so individual and separate, but there's maybe a standard fee or like a average fee that each client might spend with him. So I'm also going to encourage you to think beyond a book sale. Like, yes, you can sell your books and things like that through this, but you probably have your book is leading to something, maybe a coaching program or some kind of service or consulting fee or workshop that you're teaching. So think of that price and just pick one. Okay. Before we go forward, I'm going to just make sure everyone has one. And it's when I say one, I mean like a number. If you don't have a product or service yet, that's okay. We're going to imagine one, and we're just going to use our imagination as you go through the service, through the formula. Okay. Does everyone have a price in mind, written down or in your head? Yes. Can I get a thumbs up? Yes. Yes. Okay. All right. Good. Now I want you to take it and just round it up to the zero, nearest 1,000 or 100 or whatever that is, because we're going to be doing hard math here. No 597s, 1297s, 1573, whatever. No, just round it to the nearest whatever. Okay. Cool. Okay. Our next piece of the formula is the number of speaking engagements you think you would be able to do each year. Most of my clients speak 12, 24, or 36 times a year. So that's once a month, twice a month, or 3 times a month. Very healthy, very doable. I typically speak 4 and 5 times 4 or 5 times a month. I usually average about 60 a year. Okay. So just imagine it could be virtual. It could be in person. You could travel to a conference. You could speak from home. Most of my speaking is virtual now. So I love speaking to entrepreneurial groups, women's groups all around the country. In fact, I'm in 2 states often in the same day. All right. So just put 12, 24, 36, or if you want to go more, that's fine. Then you're going to put the number of clients you think you could attract per speaking gig. So I recommend choosing a number between 1 and 5, just for simplicity's sake. This is where our brain starts to kind of, as entrepreneurs, we start to think, oh, I don't know. I'm not sure. It depends how many people in the room. How big is the event? Like, am I alone on this? Are we? Yep. Okay. Because I talk to speakers all day long. I know what you're thinking, right? But Lisa, I don't know. How many? Blah, blah. Pick a number, 1 through 5. That's it. We're letting our imagination kind of create something here. It gives you a framework. It gives you something to visualize. It gives you something to go, oh, I think that's possible, right? So everyone have 3 numbers. You've got your price point, you've got the number of gigs you would have per year, and you have the number of clients you think you could attract. Does everyone have those 3 numbers? Excellent. Okay. Now we're going to keep going with the examples, and then you're going to see what you're going to do next. It's going to be pretty obvious here. All right. So here's example number 1. Let's say this person has $1,000 product or service. Maybe they've got like a group program or some kind of coaching program, something like that. And they go, oh, I'm going to speak 24 times a year. So a couple times a month, they pop on a Zoom, pop on a virtual, maybe they go to 1 live event a month, something like that. And through that, they tend to attract 2 clients per gig. So and we're not talking about other additional sales. We're just talking about that initial $1,000 sale. And so let's say then that's 48 clients a year. Then their total sales potential for speaking would be 48,000. Okay. Now I'm going to tweak a couple numbers. And this is where I'm showing you like how powerful this can be when we just do a couple tweaks. When people have a speaker readiness assessment with me, we can literally go through these numbers and see where the holes in the boat are. This is what I mean by sometimes we're leaving money on the table. We just don't even know. We're like, wait, what? And your time is super valuable. Speaking is going to take up your time. So you want to make it as valuable as possible. You want to come up with your talk that's ready to rock, that leads people to that final special invitation outcome that helps to build your business and attract the ideal clients that you want, right? I've not met a speaker who does not want that. So it's important to see where the holes are in the boat for you and where you might be missing opportunities, because we really want to make sure you have a valuable time spent and that your business is healthy so that you can continue to help more people. So here's another example. Say this product or service is $5,000. Same amount of speaking engagements, 24, so 2 a year. And they only have one client. They only have one client that they average each time. So, but their sales are $120,000. That's that sales potential right there. So same amount of time, higher price point, less clients. That may be the kicker for you today. It could be just a matter of pricing. And I'm not saying go ahead and I'm not just saying, oh, go ahead and increase your prices without thinking about it. We have to look at all the things and the bells and whistles and whatnot. But I found a lot of times people are underpricing their services many, many times. And so then that makes it more work for you and harder and more clients and things like that. When there may be another way. All right. So now I'm going to go through the formula one more time. You're going to multiply your numbers together. So let's say you have 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 500. I don't know what your number is. And then you're going to times that by whatever number you chose, 12, 24, 36. And then you're going to times that by that number of clients you think you can attract per gig. And that's going to be your speaker sales potential. Okay. And I'm going to stop the share. I'm giving you a warning because sometimes people are like, no, go back to the slide. So I'm going to stop the share. And we're going to see here, if you want to put your number down, you can. Again, that might be private information. I totally respect that. But if you're surprised, like, oh, that's a little more than I thought there was going to be. Did anyone find that they were a little surprised by their number? Yeah. And I think maybe Lynette, I'll have you go on mute. I think we can hear some people. Okay. So how many times are you going to actually speak? Based on this, how many times do you think you would actually want to speak in the year? You want to put it in the chat? Like what would make my, John's 24. Yeah, I know you're back on, you just had a big life change. Yeah, what? Susie, we got her, we got 100%, increase because she was at 0 and now we're at 1. So I love it. Okay, cool. 24, 20. Yeah. 24 is really, really popular. It's really popular. Like if you can be at this meeting, you can fit in 2 speaking engagements a month, right? It's a great fun way to really attract your ideal clients because there's plenty of people who do what we all do, but there's something about they get to know you a little bit. Like, oh, I like that person's style, like their sense of humor. I like how they're organized or whatever. I like their vibe. These are all subconscious things. They're making decisions about you and if they're going to go into business with you. Okay. Good. Let's see if we have any other. We got 36. Michael, I like it. Great. So we're all over the board. This is awesome. And you can, of course, use your book. We're authors here. So you can certainly use your book along the way. There's all these different ways that you can repurpose and really make yourself, make it valuable for you. You can have it as a free gift. You could have it as a bonus. You could, there's just a million ways to Sunday that we can do that. And we can talk about that too in the final thing that we're doing. Okay. So just to recap what we've done today, we talked about the steady stream of speaking referrals. Find that speaker soulmate person. Start dating your speaker soulmates. Who is the one? Who might be? Maybe you find 2 or 3. I have them in different formats. I've got like 2 or 3 people, and sometimes I'm really consistent with some of them, and sometimes it's more like spread out with others. But man, it has helped me so much, and really to be referable. Susie, I love how you said, I'm always connecting people, but I didn't think of asking for a referral. It's a really easy, nice way to receive, right? As we breathe in, we're receiving. As we breathe out, we're giving. So it's a natural component of business to constantly be receiving and giving at the same time. And yes, you're giving too. You're not just receiving, you're giving to the person. We have this 2 strategies. Make sure you start collecting those problems that you solve. What's that problem library? And Lynette gave us that great example of hers. What's your story library? So you have those stories to tell if you get invited to be on a podcast. I find that when we're not ready for these things, we push those events away. We push those opportunities away. If you don't have your talk ready to rock, or if you've done a talk and you haven't gotten any, great feedback or results from it, you start thinking, oh, speaking doesn't work. It's like, well, no, but there's some kind of hole in the boat. We got to figure out what's the hole. Where's it going? Are you giving too much information? Is it not all tying together? Is your offer non-existent, confusing, non-attractive, hidden, right? Those are the things we want to make sure and fix. We talked about the speaker's monetization formula. And like I said, we do this in the speaker readiness assessment. If you decide, oh, I really need to get out there and do some more speaking, I'll put that link here in a second. But we can go through your monetization formula. Sometimes it's a little confusing to do it by yourself, and you'll have some questions. Or maybe you're like, well, I want it to be this different number. How can I change that? How can I shift that? So that's a lot of the things that I'll talk about with my clients. And we start to strategize, how can we make it so that you have a life that you really, really love, not just being more busy. It's not about being more busy or finding more things to do. It's about like, how do you want to be? How do you want to be in your life? What kind of entrepreneur do you want to be? What kind of life do you want to have? And how can attracting your ideal clients through speaking help you get that? That's the game I'm like to play. Here's the link for the readiness assessment. I will actually, there's questions on there. There is a link to my calendar. We're going to have a nice juicy conversation. One of the things I didn't share earlier, but I'm from Fairbanks, Alaska. That's where I was raised. And so you think I wouldn't be complaining about the weather, but I am. So, because I was raised in really, really cold and dark winters. But, one of the things that I've learned from being raised in Alaska is really just being direct and being real. And we're all humans just trying to do our best. We are trying to get our message out there. And if there's a way that I can support you with that, I'm happy to. When we have our call together, I'm going to read the answers that you put on there. Like I personally am going to read them. And then we'll talk about that. We'll talk about like, what's going on? What's missing? Is this something that we should talk about working together? If not, that's okay. We'll just do our virtual handshake and leave. But if there's a way that I can really help you, we'll talk about the Speaker Training Academy and see if that's a fit for you. So you can find the link again on that QR code for those of you who love QR codes, or getspeakinggigsnow.com/chat. And I will also put it in the chat for realsies. And I'm going to turn it back on over to Miss Amy. Thank you, everybody. And then we can have a Q&A too.
Awesome. Let's give Leisa a wonderful round of applause for bringing it today.
Thank you.
Leisa, thank you. I just want to point out a couple of things that I think are really different and awesome about what you just told us today. So, we're all interested in speaking, and we've learned from some other speaker coaches too. But the thing that really sets you apart is your speaker soulmate thing. And it's different. I talk about reader soulmates, but I'm talking about the people who we're writing for. That's the consumers of our content, the people that we want to serve. And your take on the speaker soulmate is really find someone who can be a great referral partner for you, and you can be one for them. So that's just invaluable information.
Thank you.
I can't reiterate enough what you said about understanding the problems that you solve, what you're good at, what maybe it comes really naturally and you just think it's not a big deal, but it's a huge deal for the people that it helps, So having that and really understanding that is key. And everybody knows I'm all about stories. And Sarah is wonderful with stories too. We all like stories as writers. And if I'm giving advice to an author, it's often, give me another story. Tell me more stories. Illustrate this for me instead of telling me, show me, So all of that stuff is great. And of course, the monetization formula is, sort of brings it all into reality. How are we going to actually make this happen?
Yeah, I think hey Laura, shout out Anchorage. Okay, cool. I'm from Fairbanks. Yay. 2 Alaskans on the call. Who knew? Yeah, I think I started talking about the monetization formula because of hearing so many speakers really challenged with that and really frustrated like they were working so hard and not making money. And I don't want that to happen. Like that's not fun for anybody, because then we can like start to give up on our dream. And we had this entrepreneurial dream for a reason. Like there's people we can help. So how do we find the people that we can help the most? That's really the key for me. That's what I love doing. Help you find the people that you can help the most, because then everybody wins. Big ripple effect.
Awesome. Yes. Okay. So thank you so much, Leisa. And so let's give Leisa some question. What are questions that have come up for you? Sarah, go ahead.
That was wonderful, Lisa. Thank you.
You're
And this
welcome.
may be too big a question for this setting, so just say we need to talk about that, sir.
Okay.
I have a movement called Prime Spark, and the mission is to change the way our society sees and treats older women.
Mhm.
That's a problem. That's a huge problem to solve, and I don't have any idea. I mean, I can decide that actually I want to speak with women who are somewhere in their career and they don't know what's next and da da da. But my passion is what I just said before, and I don't know how to approach that.
Okay.
I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I work with people of all different kinds of industries. So yeah, if you would like to pursue speaking, I highly recommend you grab the chat with me and we can do a deeper dive. Initially, my first step is always like, okay, it's kind of in tandem. People love it to be linear. It's not really super linear, but it's a little bit linear. You got to start with getting your talk done. Like, what is it for? Who is it for? What are you trying to say? And does it make sense to your business? That's where I start. And go ahead.
I have a talk.
Okay.
I love my talk.
Mm-hmm.
The audiences I've used at least different parts of my talk with love it, but it's not monetizable.
Right. Yeah. That's why we start with that first, because we might take, if you and I work together, but what I do is sometimes we borrow from what we already had, but sometimes we just go, let's start from ground zero and build up. It depends. I'm open. It's a creative process, but I like to consider it as getting the talk born. I have a lot of speakers who come to me who've already had talks before, they're not brand new speakers, but something's not working. There's a hole in the boat. And especially with women, I know it's men too, but just, women, we are born to like give to other people, right? Like we're like, take care of everybody else. And then we forget about taking care of ourselves. It's just, and it's habitual. And so what I find is a lot of times I call it our receiving muscle is in atrophy because it feels so good to give. We just aren't kind of naturally receiving. So that might be, I mean, that's a guess. I don't know a lot about you, Sarah, but we would take a look at those pieces.
Okay. Thank you very much, Lisa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other questions, comments? Who's next? Just raise your hand.
Lynette.
I'm not sure yet, about a third through a book, writing it.
Oh, cool.
Should I be finished with that first before I start working on the speaking part of it?
Oh gosh, no. I mean, I spoke hundreds of times and didn't have a book yet. It's again, this is where it's like, it's not, oh gosh, wouldn't it be great if the entrepreneurial journey was so linear and just in this nice little order and someone told you exactly what to do to get to where you wanted to go? Oh,
well, hon, I thought that's what this was for today.
So how I think of it is, and I don't know if John's heard me say this before, but most entrepreneurs that I know, including me, we can visualize the Roman Empire. We're like, I can see it. Like I've got this and I've got this going to book and then I'm going to have a program and I'm going to have videos and I'm going to, and our spouse is like, what, like what are you working? Like we got like pots on the burner. We got stuff in the microwave and the dish. We got stuff everywhere. Right. And it doesn't happen necessarily linearly, but we complete. So speaking can be a great way to launch your book. It can be something you can add on when you're speaking. I always say, like, we work with what you have, right? But one doesn't necessitate the other. Like, you don't have to have a book to become a speaker. You don't have to be a speaker to have a book, right? It's like, but they work, they're another peanut butter jelly, right? It's like, ooh, kind of nice when we have them together. So I like to, my big thing is be ready to say yes. So whatever you need to do, and this is what I work on with in the Speakers Training Academy, it's like, let's just be ready to say yes. Let's get all the rocks and dirt off the slip and slide. Like if you ever went on a slip and slide, you do not want any rocks and dirt on it, right? You want it to be nice and clean, whoosh, or you just like slide on right through. And when we're like, oh, I don't know what my talk should be. Oh my God, they asked me to talk, but I haven't gotten back to the lady because I don't have my talk done. Oh, I did it before, but I didn't make any money or other time. Like all that is dirt and rocks on your slip and slide. Oh, my book's not done, so I can't do it yet. I better not put myself out there because I'm still working on my fill in the blank speech, book, video, blah, blah, website, blah, 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 blah. All that is keeping us hidden. No. So the point is that we want to be like, okay, what can we get done? What can we show the world? Are you ready to come out of that speaker closet? That's where you want to be. You want to be like, I want to be ready. I always say, like, I want to be able to speak in a box with a fox and a boat with a goat. Like, put me in, coach. And that's what I want anyone who works with me to say too. Mic drop, right? No, just kidding. You got me fired up.
Awesome, Leisa. Okay, thank you. Terrific advice. You have just like showered us with great tips and advice today. I'm super pleased and with everybody. Thank you all for showing up and for being so attentive and engaged and participating. I think who feels like they've got something today from Leisa that they can put into action like right now. Yes. That is gold. That is gold. And I really, really appreciate that, Leisa. So, Leisa, if you guys want to save the chat, sorry, I lost my words there for a second. If you want to save the chat, you'll have Lisa's information in there. You have the people with contact information. I encourage you all to connect to each other. You're all awesome, wonderful, amazing humans. And I would love to see you connect and maybe you're each other's speaker soulmate. Who knows? That could be really awesome. So also, if you're interested in learning more about the OC Speakers Network, definitely check that out. Attend an event. They're really fun. They're enjoyable and engaging. Also, we have in the Positively Powered Authors group, we have lots of stuff coming up. We have a workshop every month. We have our happy hour on the third Thursday of every month. That's at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. All this is on Facebook on our Positively Powered Authors group. And we have co-working on Fridays. So this is a fun thing. It's kind of new, still kind of getting it cranked up, but Michael and Susie probably know about co-working from the Idea Collective. And so I'm doing that on Fridays at 11 a.m. Mountain, and it's just an hour and a half of dedicated time where you can come, state your intention and say what you want to work on, whether it's your book, whether it's your talk, catching up on emails or whatever it is, some project that you really want to focus on for that hour and a half and kind of have the accountability of a group. It's really terribly productive, I think. Every Friday I look forward to that because it's like, okay, I can get all this stuff off my list and actually have a weekend. So that's why I like to do it on Friday. So I'd love to see you all there. That's available there. And if you're not on our newsletter, I encourage you to sign up for that. I'll put something out so that you guys can sign up for that if you're not on it, just so you can stay in touch with what we're doing as an author group, what things are available to help you from writing and speaking and all the things that we want to do as authors and helping to change the world, raising the positive vibration, as I put it. Leisa, I think you said something very similar. So we're all aligned here and a great group. So thank you. Please reach out if you have any questions, need anything from me. I'm happy to help. And super full of gratitude that you all came today. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you very much, Amy.
Yeah, you're
Thank you,
welcome.
Amy. Thank you,
Thanks,
Amy. Thank you, Lisa.
Take care.
So great to see you
And
all.
thank you, Lisa. Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks,
both
Nice
of
to
you.
see
Thanks
you.
again, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks, Lisa.